Everyone assumes this trial is a formality. It is not. There is no gun, there is no car, there is no physical evidence placing Dwayne Keffe D. Davis in Las Vegas that night. Every other man in the Cadillac is dead. His nephew, named as the shooter, denied it until he was killed in 1998 and was never charged. Davis now says he was in Los Angeles and claims 20 to 30 witnesses will confirm it. He says he never even read the book that carries his name, and his own defense has pointed the finger at a completely different man. This video lays out every weakness in the case that could still bring it down. The September 1996 shooting of Tupac Shakur in Las Vegas anchors the state's prosecution. While the state alleges Dwayne Davis helped organize the fatal attack, defense filings contend that the proof rests almost entirely on Davis's own past statements. Under Nevada law, a first-degree murder conviction requires the state to prove identity, causation, and premeditation beyond a reasonable doubt. Defense attorneys highlight a total absence of physical evidence, no recovered firearm, no trace of the Cadillac, and no DNA, fingerprints, or gunshot residue placing Davis at the scene. Although circumstantial evidence can legally suffice to secure a conviction, the jury must ultimately determine if self-incriminating remarks, lacking physical corroboration, can meet the high standard of proof. In a jailhouse interview with ABC News, Davis asserted that on the night of the shooting, he was actually in Los Angeles, at home with his grandchildren. He claimed that 20 to 30 witnesses could come to court to confirm this alibi, although the defense has not publicly filed a witness list. Under Nevada law, Davis does not carry the burden of proof to establish his whereabouts. The state must prove he was at the crime scene. Similarly, the prosecution relies on the 2019 memoir Compton Street Legend to show Davis had inside knowledge of the murder. While a judge ruled the book admissible, Davis denies writing or even reading the text, stating his co-author wrote the manuscript based on an independent investigation. The jury must decide if a co-authored memoir is a reliable confession or merely commercial promotion. In the state's reconstruction of the drive-by, 4 men occupied the white Cadillac: Dwayne Davis, DeAndre Smith, Terrence Brown, and Davis's nephew, Orlando Anderson. Today, Davis is the sole survivor of that vehicle. According to police records, Smith, Brown, and Anderson are all deceased, and none were ever formally charged in connection with the homicide. This leaves a significant evidentiary gap. Anderson, whom the prosecution identifies as the gunman, consistently denied any involvement in the shooting before he was killed in a Compton shootout in 1998. Because Anderson died before charges could be filed, his denial remains a historical record that cannot be cross-examined or tested under oath. While an uncharged, deceased suspect is neither legally proven innocent nor guilty, the absence of a living occupant from the Cadillac limits the jury's ability to directly assess the vehicle narrative. The state must rely on Davis's statements without any direct courtroom-tested corroboration from inside the car. The prosecution's reliance on Dwayne Davis's 2008 federal proffer interview restricts the legal battle to whether Nevada has the right to use his words. A proffer agreement generally provides use immunity, meaning the government cannot use a suspect's direct statements to prosecute them, but it differs from transactional immunity, which completely shields an individual from being charged for the underlying crime. Defense attorney Carl Arnold contends the 2008 agreement provided broad transactional immunity that protects Davis from state prosecution. Prosecutors counter that the contract granted only limited federal use immunity, that no judge ever signed it, and that a federal agreement cannot automatically bind the state of Nevada. This dispute also hinges on whether the state's current evidence was derived independently from leads rather than direct use of the interview. While defense filings in early 2025 described a petition to the Nevada Supreme Court as pending, records indicate the court denied Davis's mandamus petition on November 4, 2025, leaving the interview admissible at trial. In September 2023, Las Vegas Metro Police executed a nighttime search warrant at Davis's home in Henderson, Nevada. In a December 2025 court filing, defense attorneys challenged the legality of this raid, arguing that there was no emergency or risk of evidence destruction to justify a nighttime execution. The defense motion contends that investigators obtained the warrant by presenting an outdated portrait of Davis to the approving judge. While the police affidavit emphasized drug convictions from approximately 25 years earlier, the defense highlights that Davis was actually a 60-year-old retired cancer survivor who had lived quietly in the same house for a decade. This filing frames both probable cause and the nighttime execution as disputed legal questions, leaving the court to decide whether the seized manuscripts and electronics should be suppressed. In February 2025, defense attorney Carl Arnold introduced an alternative suspect, arguing in court that former Death Row Records security chief Reggie Wright Jr. and his team, not Dwayne Davis, orchestrated the 1996 shooting. Wright immediately denied the accusation in an interview with ABC News, calling it heartbreaking to remain linked to the case and stating he had nothing to do with the murder. To date, no independent evidence has been presented in court to support this defense theory. This finger-pointing is compounded by a documented 2009 conflict between investigating agencies. At the time, the LAPD claimed it possessed a complete account of the crime, while Las Vegas Metro Police maintained they were never given those files. Officials later disclosed to ABC News that the interagency dispute over information sharing nearly escalated to physical violence. Following the public friction, the LAPD stated it had not received the information, and its chief of detectives requested an emergency meeting with Las Vegas Metro to determine if critical case records had been withheld within their own ranks. In September 2009, the LAPD removed lead detective Greg Kading from the Joint Task Force, preceding the unit's complete disbandment in April 2010. Internal files show Kading faced sharp criticism from colleagues who openly questioned his investigative conduct. One officer alleged Kading offered unauthorized, informal immunity to another informant to secure cooperation. Kading denied the accusation, presenting contemporaneous meeting minutes to refute the claim. While an informal promise is not legally binding, this internal friction over witness handling provides the defense with grounds to challenge the reliability of the state's early evidence. Before the Joint Task Force dissolved, federal agents initiated a separate narcotics investigation targeting Dwayne Davis. Detective Greg Kading later stated that investigators built this drug case to secure bargaining power, hoping to pressure Davis into cooperating. Davis, however, never faced federal charges in that drug matter. Instead, the homicide case remained dormant for 14 years. It revived only after Davis began publicly selling his account, appearing in media interviews, and releasing a memoir. When Las Vegas Metro Police finally secured a search warrant in 2023, the scope targeted manuscripts, documentary notes, and books rather than traditional physical evidence. The legal task for a Clark County jury centers on whether Dwayne Davis's decades of public boasting can sustain a first-degree murder conviction. Under Nevada law, the prosecution must prove its case beyond a reasonable doubt, a burden challenged by the complete absence of physical evidence and living eyewitnesses from the Cadillac. Currently, the state's case rests on Davis's 2008 federal proffer. While the Nevada Supreme Court denied Davis's immunity petition in November 2025, any future ruling reviving that shield would strip prosecutors of their primary evidence, though such a ruling would not automatically prove innocence. If a conviction is secured here, it establishes a historic legal precedent that self-promotion and uncorroborated boasts can suffice for a lifetime in prison. The true test in Clark County isn't what Davis said, but what the state can actually prove. Share your thoughts in the comments.